No, stop.
All right. Well, welcome to No Final Bell. Um, Thank you for all the fans that have stuck around since episode 1. Last episode actually did very well for us. I do appreciate everybody that was watching it, even if it's for a short little while. We actually had our best viewership for episodes since our very first episode, which I do appreciate. Thank you for all the support. I know it's not much, but we do support, we do thank all the people and all the fans that have supported us along the way.
You guys are the real ones.
Yeah, you're the reason why we keep on going with this. You know, don't be shy. We do have other shows on Tinkle Sports Entertainment too. We do have Sunday Morning Tinkle every Sunday at 9, and we do have Out of Turn 4. So if you're a NASCAR fan, check out Out of Turn 4. If you
Especially before the season ends.
Sports, football, basketball, baseball, tennis, Olympics. We talk about anything baseball wise, sports wise on there. So don't hesitate to check those channels out itself. Of course, please check out this one as well. Our No Final Bell. I didn't want to talk much about this, but can Jake Paul please stop freaking paying off whoever he's fighting, because he won off of unanimous decision against Anderson and Spider Silva. I didn't want to talk about it much, but please, if you want to be a respectable boxer, don't pay off the boxers because you know you're going to lose if you don't.
Yeah.
I respect Logan Paul a lot more of being a WWE superstar than I do Jake Paul being a fucking boxer. Because at least Logan Paul isn't paying off wrestlers to beat, to face off against them. Logan Paul, even as a boxer, would never pay off any of the boxers. Yeah, maybe he won or lost or anything like that, but at least he was a respectable guy. And which is sad because Logan Paul is older than Jake Paul is, but Jake Paul is the biggest son of a bitch there is that lays on the freaking face of the planet Earth.
And the worst part about it too is Jake Paul, up until you can't even really consider Anderson Silva a boxer anyways, but Jake Paul has never faced a legit boxer.
But he still has a maybe a kickboxing or Brazilian or jiu-jitsu.
No, it's kickboxing.
He might have a kickboxing pedigree, but he still has had to throw the gloves even with kickboxing itself. Yeah, he's maybe better of a kicker than he is a puncher, but I digress. So there's my little rant on that. For anybody that has spent the money on that pay-per-view fight, I feel bad for you. I am sorry that you wasted your money on a result that you already knew was going to happen before it happened.
To think that I wanted to actually pay the $60 and watch that pay-per-view.
I know. It's sad, but so we're going to go on to our normal thing, NWA and Impact, as well as AEW Dynamite and Rampage. But before we get to AEW Dynamite and Rampage, we're going to start with NWA and Impact. Take away, Marty.
Yes, so, first and foremost, even though we pretty much already knew that was likely bound to happen, the Kingdom has been fired from Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, and if you know anything about the Kingdom, they are currently in AEW. They have their ties in with Ward Joe and everything else.
So that's why I say, even though we kind of expected it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Actually, before we continue on, you know what would be an interesting thing? You got the FTR as the ROH World Tag Team Champs. What if they have a, fatal four-way? You got FTR, Embassy, Warjo, and the Kingdom facing off in a fatal four-way tag team title match for the ROH World Tag Team titles.
Have it a final battle.
You could. I was thinking more so for. They're building towards final battle, but I was thinking more so towards Full Gear, only because they're all AEW kind of bound right now, except for maybe the Embassy. Kingdom is AEW bound. FTR is FT, ROH.
Well, my thing about that is I don't know necessarily if they would go that route of putting like an ROH championship on the line at an AEW pay per view. I don't know if they would go that route.
Well, even if they do, they
Never,
do.
never say never, but um, either way, let's get back to Impact Wrestling. On BTI, we had the first match in the X Division Championship Tournament between Black Taurus and Laredo Kid. Black Taurus did beat Laredo Kid, and also prayers to Laredo Kid. Um, Not too long ago, he was rushed to the hospital after a. I believe what happened is his intestines, um, like ruptured or something happened after a match, and he had to be rushed to the hospital. So prayers to Laredo Kid. Hopefully he can bounce back, and we'll see him on TV sooner than later. I believe this was before his thing, but it might have been he might have healed from that. I don't know, but I just wanted to get that out of the way about Laredo Kid. Um, but also in the X Division title tournament on the actual Impact, we had Trey Miguel versus a returning to Impact Wrestling Alan Angels. Unfortunately, Alan Angels, though, did not advance. It is sad to see, but it does seem that, at least for the foreseeable future, Alan Angels will remain with Impact Wrestling. Um, so, with that being said, Trey Miguel was able to beat Alan Angels to advance. So far, the only two, so far, Black Taurus and Trey Miguel have advanced in the X Division title tournament. We go backstage, and Bully Ray is still being accused of attacking Ace Austin, but he tells Chris Bay and Ace Austin to their faces that he didn't do it. Meanwhile, Tommy Dreamer intervenes, and it angers Chris Bay.
Hmm.
Back to in ring action as Rochelle Shield was the enhancement talent that they had in the ring against Tasha Steelz, but she got the win over Tasha Steelz by disqualification, but gets beaten down further after the match by Savannah Evans. Um, Chris Bay beats Tommy Dreamer after Moose came down to confront Bully Ray, and after the match, we go backstage, and Bully Ray is starting to question if Tommy Dreamer actually trusts him. Bully Ray just has that reputation around Impact Wrestling that like he can't be trusted. So, but Tommy Dreamer looks Bully Ray in the eyes and is like, "Hey, no, like I trust you. I'm probably the only one here that trusts you." But that's just the kind of like relationship that Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray have. So then we go to back to in-ring action as Matt Cardona beats Alex Shelley, and then the major players beat down the Motor City Machine Guns, which brings down the Impact Tag Team Champions Heath and Rhino to stand tall. Backstage again, Gail Kim tells Josh Alexander to watch his back, which prompts Steve Macklin to ambush Alexander backstage, and Frankie Kazarian is there to make sure that Josh Alexander can make it to Overdrive. Back to in-ring action. I believe, everybody believes in Joe Hendry as he was able to beat Raj Singh. We get to a sit-down interview with Eddie Edwards and Gia Miller, and with that interview, Eddie Edwards confirms that Honor No More is indeed no more, and that he needs to settle things with his wife. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to keep tuning in to get more information on what's going to happen with Eddie Edwards and Alicia. We learned that next week on BTI, Yuya Uemura will face PJ Black in the X Division title tournament. And so there's two matches happening next week for that X Division title tournament. As on BTI, Yuya will face PJ Black, and Kenny King will face Speedball Mike Bailey. Also next week, Eric Young versus Sami Callihan. And interestingly enough, Aussie Open will have issued an open challenge, and Josh Alexander and Frankie Kazarian will team up to answer that open challenge. They will square off next week. And then in the main event of Impact, we had that 6 knockout tag team match between Mickie James, Jordan Grace, and Taylor Wilde versus Vexed and Gazelle Shaw. Mickie James, Jordan Grace, and Taylor Wilde beat Vexed and Gazelle Shaw. Then on NWA, it was a Surge episode, I guess you could say. It was Velvet After Dark 2. And they made sure to point out that the fans online on social media had complained that in the last Velvet After Dark, Velvet Sky was wearing much too revealing clothing, so they covered up. Thanks a lot. So, but we start off this Velvet After Dark with a match between adorable Anthony Andrews versus Trax. And can I just say about Trax, I really like his presentation. Like, he has the look of a pro wrestler. And even then, like, he was very impressive in his match against adorable Anthony Andrews, one half of the Country Gentleman with his cousin, AJ Kazana. But ultimately, Anthony Andrews got the win over Trax. Then we have Eric Jackson beating Soda Pop. Soda Pop is like, I hate to rain on his parade, but like, in my opinion, Soda Pop is just the worst wrestling name like ever. Again, I no disrespect and like no, but that's just me. Um, but on this episode of Velvet After Dark, we had some announcements for Hard Times in New Orleans, as two matches were made official. First of all, we have Question Mark versus Question Mark 2, Mask versus Mask. So whoever loses the match at Hard Times has to take off their mask forever. Something tells me it will be Question Mark. The fake Question Mark. Also made official for Hard Times in New Orleans. For the NWA Television Championship, it will be Jordan Clearwater versus AJ Kazana, as we had the match, I believe, on USA. It was either on Power or USA, but the match did initially happen for the television title, but it went to a time limit draw. Therefore, no champion was crowned. But now, at Hard Times in New Orleans, we will crown. It's almost a guarantee at this point. We will crown a new NWA Television Champion between Jordan Clearwater and AJ Kazana. As to reiterate, Tyrus is relinquishing the NWA Television Championship to exercise the Lucky 7 rule and challenge the world's champion, Trevor Murdoch. And at Hard Times, it will be a triple threat match between Matt Cardona, who has been issued his rematch for the championship that he never lost, versus Trevor Murdoch, the champion, versus Tyrus, the challenger,
Yeah, but he
cashing
had to
in
give
his.
it up because of injury, didn't he?
Yes, he suffered that
See,
torn bicep,
See,
and he had to
this is the
relinquish.
thing. At least NWA will force the champions to drop the title because of
Yes,
injury.
I
AEW,
do.
what the fuck are you doing with, like, I hate to say it, Thunder Rosa has been out for a while.
Yeah, I
Yet you
know.
have an interim
I
champion,
was actually just
and
asking that myself. When the
and
hell is Thunder Rosa
you have,
coming
yeah,
back?
you have an interim champion in
Tony Storm.
Tony Storm. So, first off, when is Thunder Rosa gonna come back? And two, when is this unification match gonna be happening?
If
Because
if you ask me, the ideal situation is to have the unification match happen at Full Gear. Have Thunder Rosa come back, and
yeah, but I don't know how serious that
I
injury
I
was.
don't
That's the
know.
problem I'm running into. AEW, you need to stop having this. If the champion can't defend because of injury within like a month or a couple months, then have them like. Because if they get hurt, like say they're hurt for like a couple of weeks, fine. That's within the month that they can still defend.
Yeah,
But if they're out a lot longer than that, have them fucking drop the title. There's nothing
yeah,
wrong
I
with that.
agree.
And then when they come back, you can have them say, "Oh well, I never lost the title" and stuff like that, and get a rematch for said title.
Right.
That can happen. Don't. Oh
Yeah.
well, because you got injured and it wasn't your fault. You're not gonna relinquish the title. We're just gonna have an interim champion until you come back. That's fine, Danny, and everything like that. If that's what you want to have as the ruling, but the thing is like, no, WWE oh, maybe they're the one exception too, because there has been times where a champion's been hurt,
Well,
and
Brock Lesnar.
yeah, exactly. But
Um, but yeah. So getting back on track with NWA, Rolando Freeman. He's just been on a roll in the NWA. He already has 2 victories over Matt Cardona. Now he picks up another victory. I mean, granted, against a much less formidable opponent, I guess you could say, in the form of Casey Rocks.
hmm.
And in the main event of Velvet After Dark 2, Jack Stain beats Sal the Pal. That is the week for NWA and Impact. Now we take it over to AEW.
Yeah, AEW Dynamite and Rampage, of course, starting off with Dynamite. So we knew this match was going to be happening, but it was interesting that it started off the night. Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli face off against Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia. My thought was, well, yeah, I thought Daniel Garcia was going to turn on Chris Jericho again and actually join up with a Blackpool Combat Club. No, that did not happen. But this match was very interesting. Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli beat the living crap out of Chris Jericho and
What
Daniel
about that
Garcia.
spot? Real quick, what about that spot with Claudio and swinging Jericho while also simultaneously swinging
Having
Garcia?
Garcia on his shoulders.
The
Um,
superhuman strength
of
of
Claudio
Claudio
Castagnoli. I
Castagnoli.
know, I agree. But ultimately, I was quite shocked about the outcome here. I thought it was going to be Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia, but no, Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli get the win here against Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia. I was quite shocked that the Blackpool Combat Club got the one-up on the Jericho Appreciation Society. But I hate to say it, could you see this leading into Stadium Stampede with I'm hoping that they're going to go back to Daly's place and have the Stadium Stampede for Double or Nothing next year. I know that's a long ways away, and that's May of next year, but I'm hoping that's what
Well,
going to be the case with the Blackpool Combat Club and the
who's to
Jericho
say
Appreciation Society.
who's to say they don't go to Daly's place, but they still are able to have the Stadium Stampede in like Vegas or
I
something?
don't know. I
Because
mean, honestly, I would be. I mean,
Well, either way, I mean,
Well, they had the arena, the Anarchy in the Arena,
Anarchy in
but
the
they already
Arena.
had that before with. Actually, no, what was it? It was Jericho. Was it Jericho
Yes, it
Appreciation
was
Society
Jericho Appreciation Society,
and Black Bull Comic Club.
with the exception of Eddie Kingston and
I don't
Ortiz.
know. See, there always seems to be something with the Black Bull Comic Club and Jericho Appreciation Society. I don't know if it's gonna result in them doing blood and guts. I mean, I also had a blood and guts match too.
I
I'm
mean,
pretty
what
sure.
more? Like the way I look at it though is, what more can you do with the Jericho Appreciation Society and the Black Bull
I'm
Combat
not
Club?
too sure, honestly.
Because you've already like thrown out as many gimmick matches as possible
I
with those
know.
two factions. So, like, seriously, at this point, what more is there to do?
I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see what's going to be truly done. I mean, I'm hoping that they're going to be done, and that was just going to be the one last match. But knowing AEW, probably not. Um, there was one very interesting little thing after this match that happened. The Elite getting basically disintegrated into nothing. The AEW logo getting disintegrated into nothing. I don't know what that truly means. I don't know if that means the Elite's teasing a comeback. I don't know if that just means that they're no longer going to be there, fading off. Well, the Elite, wasn't it they were backstage in AEW
Yes,
that
they
week?
were backstage for
See, I
Dynamite
don't know
that
if they're
week.
going to truly be back in like just a backstage role in general, or if they're going to be um, back for
Prominently used
actually,
on TV.
yeah, used on TV or maybe earn themselves another shot at the
Trios
World
title.
Trios Tag Team titles. Because I hate to say it, they never actually truly lost those titles. They were stripped of the titles because of everything that
If you
happened.
ask me, wrongfully stripped.
I think so too. I think they were wrongfully stripped. If there's anybody, I get it because during the
Yeah,
time
I
when that
mean,
when
you gotta have like uh, justifiable ramifications
I was
for.
gonna say exactly. Well, see, the thing is that between both groups, of course, now we know all the evidence was CM Punk
Yes,
starting it and then resulting to what it did. So now that's why the Elite are coming back and CM Punk is no longer
but
going to be
even
with the
still,
company.
like, I don't think it was truly justified to have the Elite be stripped of their titles.
Yeah, I don't think so. So I really do think that Tony Khan should right his wrongs, and if they do come back, should go after Death Triangle and win back the tag team titles, those trios tag team titles,
I
because
agree.
I hate to say it, you wrongfully stripped them. I get it. At the time, you didn't know what party was at fault at first,
Well,
so you
not only
had to
that,
do
it's
what it
like,
needed to be done.
not only that, it only made sense at the time to suspend both sides
Hmm.
and strip both sides of their title. Like,
Right.
it made sense at the time, but now that time has passed, it's like, yeah, maybe that was not the right thing to do.
Right. So, um,
But at least I look at it this way: at least the Elite can say that they are the inaugural champs.
right.
So
That is true. Um,
they are
so
the inaugural champs and also the shortest reigning champs.
yeah, I know. Death Triangle has done a really good job as being the World Trios Tag Team Champs. Um, will they hold them around forever? I don't think so. I think they're just temporary champs because of the Elite being out. I think the Elite will eventually win them back. Um,
So now I want to correct you on
yeah,
that
I know. I
for
was
your
gonna say
notes.
this. Chris Jericho throws out the challenge to any former ROH
ROH
champion,
champion in general, not
not
just a
world.
world champion.
Who could it
It could
be?
be a former women's champion. It could be a former tag team
Yeah, I
champion,
don't think
former
it's gonna.
six man tag team
I don't
champion,
think it's gonna
former
be a
television
women's
champion,
champion.
former pure champion.
I don't think it's gonna be a women's champion. Um,
Hey, you never know.
I don't think Chris. I mean,
For all we know, they could get Kelly Klein
um,
or Sumi Sakai for that matter.
so who could it be that ROH former ROH champion that Chris Jericho faces off against?
Hey, who knows? They might even get Angelina Long.
That'd be crazy. It'd be cool to see Roderick Strong, but unfortunately he's still very obligated to WWE, and with WWE's whole thing, if he was to get released, it would be a 90-day
Yeah, I don't
no
know
compete
like what his
clause.
current contract situation is.
Um,
I don't even know like you know.
Hopefully WWE can allow him to have a one-off appearance
I
where he could
doubt
face
it.
off. I
I
mean,
doubt it.
I'm pretty sure Roderick Strong's signed to NXT right now anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so um, not to like throw off that, like not to interrupt the current
but
discussion also, but um, this is some pretty breaking news as well. Shinsuke Nakamura will be heading to Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan on New Year's Day of 2023 to face the Great Muta in his retirement tour.
you know what pisses me off about this whole Japan thing with WWE? How come it had to wait until after Vince was gone to have wrestlers at
Yeah,
WWE do this?
I mean,
Because
well,
if you
okay.
were be able to allow that to happen, you would still have Dean O'Brien in WWE. That's the main
Yeah.
reason why he left WWE, is because he wanted to have that working relationship with NJPW
Well, not to mention he also wanted blood.
in Japan. Well, yeah, that too. But
He also wanted blood. He was never going to get that in WWE.
I will say this now. This is my one thought I wanted to get back. Oh, well, actually, if we want to talk about that, Sheamus is also going to be on that same show competing too.
Is he really?
Yes, he is. I think
so
against.
that's why a lot of
I
people
think
on
it's against
Twitter have been.
Minoru Suzuki too, or something like that. I think that's who he's facing up against.
So it's real.
Yes, it is real.
Okay.
Sheamus
Now,
is.
see, I was going to say, because I've seen the graphic on Twitter.
Yeah,
I didn't know if he was real
I'm
or
pretty
not.
sure it's real with Sheamus.
Okay.
Sheamus will be facing off against Minoru Suzuki at that same show,
Yeah.
which I think is insane.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me tell you something, Sheamus. You are a very well sports entertainer. You're going to get your ass beat by a pro wrestler. I hate to say it. Chris Jericho is wrong. Sports entertainers do not beat pro wrestlers. I think that's a little.
In this case, Minoru Suzuki, a pro wrestler, will beat Sheamus, a sports entertainer.
But they'll somehow find Sheamus to get the win here. Who knows?
I don't know about that. I mean.
But getting back on track with Chris Jericho, my one thought, depending on how hurt he really is, I think it might be Adam Cole that comes back.
I would like to see it be Shane Taylor
against Chris Jericho. There's so much thought in who it could be. This is what I love about AEW. It could literally be anybody, former ROH, current ROH, anybody literally.
However, with the story that they're currently like playing up with Jericho and everything, and because he took a pile driver from Chris Jericho not too long ago, I think it might end up being Jerry Lynn.
I don't know if
he's one-off.
I don't know if he's honestly.
I don't.
100%.
Yeah, I don't think he's healthy enough for a match, but at the same time, just a one-off. Who's to say that he couldn't have been training in between, like, then and now?
I doubt it. I don't think it's going to be Jerry Lynn. It could literally be anybody.
I mean,
former ROH.
The way I look at it is,
of course, not ones that are signed to WWE.
Yeah. So no Tyler Black, no Kevin Steen. But hey, you never know. El Generico could be out there somewhere.
It'd be kind of interesting if it actually will be Malachi Black that comes back and face-offs against Chris Jericho.
Malachi Black never.
Oh, Tyler Black? Who is
Black?
Who is Tyler? Oh,
Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins. It would be cool, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, no.
I
and
hate
even
to say
then,
it.
he's got blonde streaks now. Tyler Black is a completely different person now than
exactly.
Seth Rollins.
So it could literally be anybody at this point. But let's get on to the
hell. It could be Jimmy Jacobs for all.
Let's get on to the next match. Swerve and Glory faces off against FTR. A really good back and forth match. I was really pulling. I was really, really, really pulling for FTR to win this match. It made so much sense. They've been the number one contender for so long, and then you just swerved us all. No pun intended.
Yeah.
And had to swerve in their glory, beat FTR to become the
Now,
new number one
the way
contenders.
that they won the match, though,
But
is
with the help
interesting.
of the Guns.
Not just that, the way that they won was because Swerve hit Dax with a low blow to set up Keith Lee for the Big Bang catastrophe.
Yeah.
And
Personally, I don't know we'll talk more
I
about
think it's
Swerve
safe
Strickland.
I think it's safe to say that they're planting the seeds for Swerve. I mean, granted, Swerve is, I think at this point, already an established heel,
Mhm.
but they're really planting the seeds for you know, Swerve Strickland to go that extra mile as a heel.
Right.
So,
Um.
and
Yeah, they
especially
kind
with
of are.
and especially
See,
with what happened
the
on Rampage,
real
which we will
problem.
talk about.
The real problem is Keith Lee is very torn. I don't know if he's willing to be that kind of heel with Swerve Strickland.
Now,
But if he wants to compete for those tag team titles, it's going to be interesting. I hate to say it. If it is going to be a match of Full Gear, I do not see, because of everything that's going on between
yeah,
those two, I do not see Swerve and Strickland beating the Acclaim for the World Tag Team titles. This is
Swerve
why
and
it made
Glory is not
no
gonna.
sense that Swerve and Glory beat FTR heading into the pay-per-view. You should have had FTR.
Yeah.
It made more sense. I get it. You want to have a
Well,
heel side against a baby face side. You don't want to have two faces going up against each other heading
yeah,
into
but
Full
see,
Gear.
here's the thing: you got to look at it through uh through a bigger lens because ultimately, you know, you got to look at it through a bigger lens. It would have made more sense, yeah, the decision to have Swerve in Our Glory win did not make sense in the grander scheme because here's how I would have booked it. Okay, I would have had FTR win the match, and ultimately it would have seen the implosion of Swerve in Our Glory.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you build to a match at the pay per view, Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee.
I was gonna
And
say.
then at Full Gear, FTR challenges the Acclaimed.
But what
They
they
don't
could
have to win necessarily.
what they
but
could do, which I think is probably what's gonna happen. I think they're gonna upload at the pay-per-view, and they're gonna lead into a match at Winter is Coming, because Winter is Coming is a very
it's a
pay-per-view
pay-per-view
esque
yes.
show. So I think that you might see them competing at Winter is Coming
Now,
in Garland,
see,
Texas.
when you put it like that, it kind of makes sense to put off the
So I think you're
implosion at
gonna
the
have
pay-per-view.
I think you're gonna have the Acclaimed win, and then you're gonna see the implosion of Swerve in Their Glory at the pay-per-view, and it's gonna lead into Winter is Coming or a match in the near future.
But still, I just think they
Because
should've.
honestly, I would be okay with having Keith Lee as a singles guy. I think that he would be the right one to push into a singles role. Same thing with maybe Swerve Strickland, but
If you're gonna push him into a singles role, you have to give him the world title, not All Atlantic, and definitely not TBS. Because if you give
no,
Keith,
TNT.
or yes, thank you, TNT. Because not for nothing, if you give Keith Lee the TNT title, that man is cursed for his entire run in AEW. Because not for nothing, the TNT title at this point is a curse to people's careers. Look at what the hell it's doing to Wardlow.
Right.
And it's a detriment to Wardlow too because he's so fucking talented.
I know.
And he deserved to win that TNT title, and we all thought oh, this is the start of something big. Yeah, no. It didn't do much for his
Right.
and especially considering right now the main focus for Wardlow is in a tag team with Samoa Joe, who is the current Ring of Honor television champion. Like, what the hell are you doing with Wardlow and Samoa Joe?
They're gonna eventually probably go up against the Kingdom or the Embassy, or maybe both. I think that and then you got Will Hobbs that's in that party. I think
Yeah, where does he fall into that?
I think he's gonna join. I think he's joining up with the Embassy. Honestly,
But why?
I don't
What
know.
sense does that make?
I mean, I saw something about that Will Hobbs was going to join up with Brian Cage, but I think it's more so the Embassy in the picture in the grand scheme of things. But
I
who
mean, I can
knows?
understand joining with Brian Cage because of their history with Team Taz,
Right,
but even just in general, like if you're having uh, Powerhouse Hobbs join the Embassy, ultimately that doesn't make a lot of sense because like you know you're just putting him in a faction at that point to put him in another faction,
right,
which would be fucking pointless because Powerhouse Hobbs is better than just being another guy in a faction. Like, you
right.
know,
So
make him
going,
make him a champion at this point. Like,
I know.
same thing with Ricky Starks, and even just in general right now. Like, why the hell?
Now,
Like,
did Ricky Starks ever win a title in ROH?
he never was in
Okay,
ROH.
never mind. He was already in the NWA and
Yeah, and
AEW.
he won the television title.
Right.
So,
So,
but just in general too, like ever since Ricky Starks lost the FTW title and Team Taz broke down, like he's just been going lower down the card, and it's like, why?
right.
The man is a star, a literal star in your company, and you're just failing to see it.
I don't know. Um, so it's kind of weird what's going on with this, but tensions seem to be rising between
Saraya.
Saraya and Britt Baker. Thoughts on that one? Do you think that these two women? I mean, they're going to be sitting down and having an interview
I think it's
on
ultimately going to
Dynamite.
lead to a match at Full Gear.
I think so too, and honestly, I would be okay with that. I think whoever wins should get like a title opportunity or something like that.
Well, if
Um,
that's the case, then automatically Saraya should win.
Saraya, this would be her first match in a long time. I mean, she's probably gonna be a little rusty heading into this,
It's her
but
first match in, I believe, 5 or 6 years.
that's insane. Um,
So
but
I think it's safe to say, though, yeah, ring rust might play a factor in the match. Hopefully it doesn't,
it
as
would be
I'm
nice to,
hoping that uh, she would have been like gathering up some training.
right? I'm sure she has been. I mean,
Not like training, but like, you know, getting her reps back
I think that's
in
what's
the
gonna
ring.
really sell some tickets. Seeing Saraya back in the ring, I think
Yeah,
that's
in her
gonna
first
definitely.
match in, like I said, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, and especially against Britt Baker. Britt Baker is definitely somebody that is a great first opponent for Saraya because she's a former um, world champion, and I mean she's the women's division has been much ridden behind
Well,
Britt Baker, so why not have her
yes,
go up against
in
her?
kayfabe, she's the perfect first opponent for Saraya. But in reality, I don't know if I agree with putting Britt Baker against Saraya because you know of the history, first of all, of Soraya's neck problems, and even just in general how well or maybe how not so well Britt Baker will do at protecting
Eh,
Saraya in the match.
well, I mean Saraya is 100% cleared, so honestly,
I
who
get
knows?
it, but there's still the concern.
I
You
know.
know what I mean?
And there was a lot of concern with Brian Danielson
Oh
coming
yeah,
back too, but look
absolutely.
where he is.
Well, not only that, Brian Danielson feeds off of that. He feeds off of the concern, and he's like, He pretty much says, "I'm Bryan Danielson. I'll do whatever the fuck I want."
Right, exactly, because he's just that damn good. So going on to the next little bit of programming here, MGF comes out in has an interview with Renee Paquette. He speaks and says the devil is here. Gets asked how he would feel to go up against Moxley, and then he mocks him, says he will mash his bones and drink your blood, and yes, and gargle his piss. Because he's John freaking Moxley, and it says the only word that comes to mind about Moxley is mid. And it says shut your mouth to Renee.
With all due respect, Renee, shut your mouth.
And says he will earn it and will not wrestle the whole match clean because he is MGF. What was it about Regal and Brass Knucks?
He didn't need to use his brass knuckles. He wanted to use
his brass knuckles.
And basically, MJF is alluding to the fact that, like, oh, hey, I promise not to use my Dynamite Diamond Ring because I don't need it. And all I need is a grudge.
Yes, all he needs is a grudge, and says he's fighting every scumbag that said he wasn't good enough and vows to be the next champ, and says he's a generational talent.
I'm a generational talent.
And then gets interrupted by Stokely Hathaway and slaps the mic out of his hands and says he's gotten comfy since they known each other for so long. And MJF doesn't want anyone to go after Moxley or he's
in the firm.
Or he's fired because he wants him 110% heading into Full Gear, and he's MGF and he's better than you, and you know it. Bryan Danielson and Sammy Guevara face off against each other as no surprise. Bryan Danielson beats him. And then next week, Orange Cassidy, man, he sure loves to defend his title in the triple threat matches because he's facing off against
Orange Cassidy has a busy week.
Yes, he does. He's got a busy week because Dynamite and Rampage is live.
So, but first of all, on Dynamite, he's defending the All-Atlantic title in a triple threat against Luchasaurus and Rey Fenix. And then on Rampage, he has a dream match against any opponent for the All-Atlantic title.
It'll be interesting to see who that dream opponent of his is.
Something tells me they might get somebody from New Japan.
Maybe something. That'd be crazy. But who could honestly win? I think it's gonna be Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is gonna beat Luchasaurus and Rey Fenix.
They wouldn't advertise the All Atlantic title dream match if Orange Cassidy wasn't going to retain. Not for nothing. But at the same time, you know,
I guess
cards subject to change.
I know. I guess the other question is, will Luchasaurus ever win a championship like they say that because he's going to face off against any champion? That could be, soon it might be Jon Moxley. Soon it could be Wardlow because he wants to go after anybody that's got a championship right now.
Okay, so in that same breath, he could go after Hook. Because technically Hook has the
a TAW championship. So yeah,
even though it's not sanctioned,
right?
But even just in general, like, what are you talking about? He was a former tag team champion with Jungle Boy.
So Jamie Hayter and Riho
probably would want to have that erased from history,
right?
But
so Jamie Hayter and Riho face off against each other. Of course, back in the day, Riho did beat Jamie Hayter, but this time, I thought it was going to happen again. Poor Riho. She's come back and hasn't really done a whole lot on AEW. She's just kind of been another woman in the locker room kind of thing. But good thing for Jamie Hayter to beat Riho because it solidifies her a little bit more to maybe potentially be a future women's world champion on the roster. It's not really much to talk about that match. Riho and Jamie Hayter went back and forth. Riho definitely, was a great talent, but I guess Jamie Hayter makes a little bit more sense because you have her a little bit more established than Riho right now. So next week, on I want to say I can't remember if it's on Dynamite or Rampage. I
No,
think
it
it's
is
on
on Dynamite.
Dynamite.
It's
Jay
on
Lethal and
Dynamite.
Darby Allin will face off against each other. Thoughts? Hate to say it, Jay Lethal, but Darby Allin's gonna beat you.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, I before we went and did this episode of No Final Bell, I went up to Marty. He's like, "Where the hell is Darby Allin been?" And then they showed this. It's like, "Oh, okay. I guess this is where he's been. He's getting ready to face off against Jay Lethal." I guess. But yeah. Um, then the main event of Dynamite is John Moxley against Penta El Zero Vieto. Um, Decent back and forth match, but you should have seen it coming. John Moxley beats Penta to retain the AEW World Championship, and then he gets beaten down by the Firm after the match. MJF fires Stokely, and then Ethan Page and the Firm beats down MJF. What does this mean? And MJF then gets thrown into the table. Well, it means is that both MGF and John Moxley had to watch out for the Firm as
Yeah.
they're going to have some say in the world title picture. Both men might not be 100% heading into full gear. Firm you got to watch out for
Yeah.
because they're going to be.
But the main thing that I was saying about that is I don't trust it. I don't trust it with, like, basically, because essentially what it led to, in a way, was like a premature face turn in a way of MJF.
You know
And
what I
I'm
could
just
see
looking at it and I'm
happening?
like, I don't trust it.
You know what I could see happening? I could see the Firm getting involved in this world title match, and then MGF realigns himself with the Firm. It's like,
That's what I mean. Like, I
and
don't trust
then I
it.
could see it be like, haha, you guys thought I was gonna win this and actually try hard in it? No, no, you all thought wrong. I'm the world
Yeah.
champion because I have the Firm on my side. I could see it being something like that. But
Well,
then again,
not to mention, look at it this way. In his promo, he said that he was going to wrestle the match relatively clean. That didn't discount the Firm possibly, you know. Not to mention, um, he promised not to use his Dynamite Diamond ring. You know, it's not to say that the Firm couldn't, like, handle that, not handle him not needing to use the Dynamite Diamond ring. It's little details like that that you gotta, like, pick up on.
right. I mean, it would be cool if this was like a gimmick match where you wouldn't have to worry about the Firm getting involved in this match, but I don't see that happening.
What, like a cage to keep him
Something
out?
like that,
I
yeah.
mean, that's like the point of a cage match is usually to keep outside people from, like,
Who
interfering.
knows? They still have some time to build into that match, and it could very well happen. But who knows? Um, so that is Dynamite Rampage. We got into the side of things. John Moxley beats Matt Menard in the world title eliminators. Not much to really
Yeah.
discuss about that. John Moxley is just on a roll right now as a world champion. Then John Moxley to face off against Tiger Style. Lee Moriarty next week or later
Which
tonight on Dynamite.
which that match also will be a world title eliminator match.
Yeah, John
Who's
Moxley's
to
got
say
his
Tiger Style doesn't potentially get
John
a world
Moxley's got
title
his
shot?
hands full. I don't see that happening. I mean, they have all these eliminator matches, and the only way that the eliminator like style will actually lead to a world title match is the world title eliminator tournament at Full Gear. That will lead into a future world title opportunity. It could be John Moxley, it could be MJF at Winter is Coming in Garland, Texas. Which, um, you know, what would be interesting to see. What if John Moxley does retain and then MJF faces off against him at Winter is Coming and beats him? I don't think that's going to happen. I think MJF will actually beat John Moxley, but
I mean,
it'll be interesting to see who's actually going to be in that tournament.
yeah, it is.
Um,
So far,
Can Kenny Omega be in that tournament? I hate to
that would
say
be
it.
nice.
I mean, so far we already have two people, and we'll discuss that.
I mean, he won the world title eliminator tournament 2 years ago.
Dante Martin is one of them, and a Will or what's the other one?
Ethan Page.
Yeah, Ethan Page is going to be the other one. But yeah, um, and it also promises to Tiger Lee and Moriarty that he will not be the same kid after the match. Thoughts? Yeah, I would definitely say that you better wait. Better hope. You better run away there, Lee Moriarty, Tiger style. You better bring the heat, or better step up or get stepped down, is what
Yeah.
the Blackpool Combat Club say. So you better step up to John Moxley, or you're gonna get stepped all over and get your head kicked in. Um, yeah, see, this is also what I was, going to go to. There will be a AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament. The face-off and winner is coming, and the first person to enter is Dante Martin. Does he deserve it? I think so.
Absolutely.
He absolutely does deserve it. I think he should have, I hope he does win it and faces off against either MJF or John Moxley at winner is coming, because I think he definitely deserves another world title opportunity.
I mean, honestly, you should give him the world title at some point, anyways.
I
Like,
agree.
especially if, and it's not entirely his fault. It's just,
I know
he's
because
just kind
Darius
of
just
cursed
can't
with it. But yeah,
stay
especially
healthy.
if Darius is always going to be out with, an injury.
Right.
Definitely give Dante Martin a freaking A title. It
Yeah, I
doesn't even
know.
have to be a world title.
Right,
Like, just
exactly.
a title.
Um, yeah, so
Do
I think
something to prove Dante Martin's worth.
I know. I think Dante Martin definitely deserves it. So yeah. Keith Lee beats Serpentico in a pretty lackluster match.
Not much to talk about there.
Exactly. So moving forward, um, so has Swerve Strickland gone a little too far by targeting Billy Gunn, or is it great mind games heading into their tag team title match?
I don't know. I mean, he broke Daddy Ass's fingers, quote unquote.
I
So
don't think he actually targeted the fingers. I think he just kind of stuck it into his back, if anything.
that's what I've heard is he broke Daddy Ass's fingers. So
He's one deranged man. I don't know what, he really wants to make sure
it
that Billy Gunn does not interfere in
yeah,
this match with the acclaimed,
it
because he
reminds me.
claims that Billy Gunn was the real reason why Swerve Circle and lost the tag team titles to acclaim
Yeah,
in Arthur Ashe Stadium in um, Queens, New York.
Swerve in Our Glory.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but like the way that I was looking at the vignette is it reminded me a lot of like the kind of segments that Swerve Strickland would do in Lucha Underground as Killshot because it was very similar. He would like have somebody like hog tied up or whatever and like, essentially make a like hit list of people that he was gonna like in a sense like murder. So it was like pretty much uh like now obviously I'm just speaking on behalf of like, you know, what I've heard about like Swerve Strickland's experience because I've seen his I've seen the clip of that interview that he did with Renee Paquette on the sessions, but I've never watched Lucha Underground, and I'm sorry to upset Lucha Underground fans, but yeah, like, and I do regret that. I will admit, but yeah, that's what it reminds me of, though.
Right.
So,
So Ty Mello and Madison Rain face off against each other. It made absolutely no sense to have Ty Mello win here. I
well,
think
to be
Madison.
fair, it doesn't make a lot of sense why they're constantly booking Madison Rain to lose.
Yeah, I know. She's got
You brought her
right
into
now.
AEW
Right
for
now, you
literally
have.
nothing besides to be a coach for the women's
I
division
know, and right now she has like
and
a
to
two.
constantly lose.
Well, she has a 2-3 record right now. She has, of course, probably 2 wins
Well, at
on
least,
Dark or No
yeah, I was gonna say,
Television.
at least on television, she's lost.
Yeah, and it's sad
Yeah.
because honestly, Ty Mello hasn't even done much either. So to have her lose, you have Madison Rain lose to Ty Mello almost made absolutely no sense. I think you should have had Madison Rain win because I mean, this is just a match that you throw together on Rampage for the
This
hell of it.
poor women's division, man.
I know.
That's my number one gripe about AEW is they just the complete lack thereof of a women's division,
I know.
or at least like how to book that women's division.
It is sad, but hey, AEW is still, top of the,
I would
game
I, I
for
look at
what
it
it
this
is.
way. I look at it this way. If AEW was purely a men's promotion, then I would feel okay with the fact that like a lot of these women but the fact that you have women in the promotion and you're not like, you know, using them to their full abilities and like you're not giving them the opportunities that they deserve, that's a problem.
Yeah, it
So,
kind of is. Um, so we were talking about it before. The firm plan on making MJF less than 100%, and Ethan Page will be in the World Title Eliminator Tournament. Thoughts? Well, it's not just this MJF. They're gonna make sure that John Moxley is less than 100%
yeah.
too, as they're gonna target um, both of them. But it's getting spicy between with the firm and MJF and John Moxley.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see if there's going to be like a one-off tag team match with MJF and John Moxley against some of the firm members. It could be possible, but who knows? I
If
doubt
they
it.
do that, it's the matter of like, oh, how will they coexist?
I think they will. I mean, they're kind of pushing
It's
towards
like the
that. They're kind
cliche
of
thing in
pushing towards
wrestling
that
though.
MGF face turn.
Yeah.
So
But hmm, excuse me.
it'd be kind of
It's
interesting if
like I said,
that's
it's
the
like
way
the
that they're
it's
going to go to.
like I said, it's that like old school cliche of wrestling of like, oh, how will they coexist? If that's the direction that they go, where they have MJF team up with Moxley to take on like members of the firm.
Right. I'm kind of glad that they're starting to use Ethan Page a lot more now with a firm and everything like that than they ever did when he first entered in and
Yeah,
joined up with the Men of the
with the
Year of
Men of the
Scorpio
Year
Sky.
and American Top Team.
Now, speaking of Scorpio Sky, has he ever been involved with ROH?
Yes, he has.
Is he a former ROH champion?
Yes, he is.
What if he comes back and faces off against Chris Jericho? I just thought
Ye-
about that.
It would come full circle
Dude, that would be
because
crazy.
it would come full circle because Scorpio Sky was one of the first people to challenge Chris Jericho for his then AEW world title.
Honestly, like
It would come completely full circle.
I think Scorpio Sky could make a lot of sense to come back and face off against Chris Jericho here because you haven't seen Scorpio Sky in so
Oh,
long,
I know.
and I think it would be the perfect opportunity. I didn't even think about it till now.
But yes, so Scorpio Sky with SCU is a former. Yeah, so SCU was something that started in Ring of Honor and then they brought it into
Hmm,
AEW
interesting. Um, so Wardlow faces off against Matt Taven. There's not really much to
in the
talk
main
about.
event.
Beats Matt Taven to retain the TNT Championship, and then
Yep.
gets beaten down by Mike Bennett. And then Samoa Joe comes out and beats down on the Kingdom and throws him out of the ring to save Wardlow. And then Powerhouse Hobbs comes down, and then the Embassy come out to beat down on Wardlow. Has Powerhouse joined up with the Embassy and also looks to want the TNT Championship? Thoughts? Because he holds it in his hand.
Yeah.
Good. I would be all for it because
I'd
if
be
you could
okay
give
with
more opportunities for the TNT Championship to be defended, all for it. Because that if you want the TNT Championship to be back into
Yeah,
what it used to be.
exactly.
This is when you start having people come out and issuing the challenge and facing
Right.
off against Wardlow. That's how you bring the prestige of that
Yeah.
title back up, as you have
Well,
these guys
not to
face off
mention,
against the title
not
for
to
the
mention,
title.
you start booking that fucking title like it's meant to be booked.
Exactly.
You start having those challengers ready at the beck and call for the champion.
Now, if
That's
it
how
is
you
truly
book
the
a
kingdom,
championship.
if it is truly the kingdom that joined up with the embassy, then who joins up with Wardlow to take on the embassy in the kingdom? That's what I want to know, truly.
I have no idea.
Because Wardlow has their hands in a lot. They have to deal with the embassy. They have to deal with the kingdom.
Yeah. Well, not to mention they also have to deal with the fact that they are,
I'm pretty
title
sure.
holders and they have to defend their titles.
Exactly.
So especially this Wednesday on Dynamite, Joe is defending against Brian Cage.
Which I think
So,
Brian Cage deserves a title opportunity too. I'm grateful that Brian Cage is actually getting utilized
I
again,
do
which is
agree.
nice to see.
I am glad that Brian Cage is starting to get these title opportunities. Although, they have been just randomly thrown together, but
As far as Powerhouse Hobbs for the TNT Championship, all for it. Will he
yes.
win? Probably not, but I think it's an opportunity to have him face off against Wardlow. I kind of like what they are doing with the Kingdom and the Embassy and Wardlow. It's something new. It's something dynamic. It's something like long-term storytelling that you can have with all these groups. I like it. Yes, I know I get it. Wardlow is combined, or they're just a thrown together tag team, but you know what? It makes sense. I think I like it. I mean, yeah, the name's kind of stupid, but I kind of like them being together and stuff like that. It gives them something new to do together. I don't know. It's just something new to add to the tag team division that is everlasting and growing and stuff like that. So, um, as far as that goes, this is going to conclude this episode of No Final Bell. Make sure to follow us on Tinkle Sports. Us, Tinkle social media, Tinkle Sports. Of course, you want to also like, comment, subscribe, and follow on Tinkle Sports Entertainment on YouTube and Facebook. Watch. Facebook Watch is only for No Final Bell and Out of Turn 4. It's not for Sunday Morning Tinkle. Sunday Morning Tinkle, we do have a lot of other programs, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can go in and grab your podcasts for that. Of course, Out of Turn 4 is every Tuesday at 5. Sunday Morning Tinkles every Sunday at 9 a.m. And then this show is every Wednesday at 5 p.m. So if you want to catch us, don't want to watch this, you can catch our other shows on YouTube. Also, also on Facebook Watch if you want to not watch us on YouTube. But as always, everybody, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.